Hello and welcome to the Cyber1 YouTube channel. My name is Ray, and in this video, the R2D2 build part 2, we're going to work on the center ankle. So these two parts are the ankle itself, and they mount into a bracket which goes on top of the Omni wheel, which are these parts over here, and we'll assemble them shortly. But this piece with a spacer that goes on top is attached into the middle of the droid itself with 4 screws. These are the screws, and these square nuts on the end here go into little holes just inside there. Now the problem with these ones is when you're assembling this onto the bottom plate, once you get your first screw in, you cannot access any of these, and if you tilt it the wrong way, the nut falls out and falls down the bottom. So we need to prevent that from happening. So I'm going to use filament. I've got some white PETG, so it's easy to see. We're going to put these little nuts into place. We're going to hold them into place with these screws for now. These screws for the base, by the way, are 40mm long. So we'll just get all these screws in, and then we'll and all these nuts in place, and then we'll go through the process of locking them in so they don't come loose. Okay, so that's those 4 nuts in place, held in by the screws. We've got square nuts going here as well, and in here, and we'll have screws coming through. These are countersunk. They go through there and hold these parts together like so, with the countersunk through there through into here. That leaves that hole then freed up to have a pin through it, and these parts going through to hold that all together. So let's just get these welded so they don't come loose. So I have my trusty 3D pen. I did do a review on this ages ago. This is PETG, and these 3 parts or 4 parts are all ASA. Not that impressed with the ASA, but the PETG seems to be fine. So I'll let that warm up. Okay, that's up to temperature. Now I've got this on high flow. Whoops. I accidentally ejected it. I've got a longer piece here, so I'll feed that in. So what I'm going to do is line this up with the hole inside and pump it full of, as much as I can, full of the PETG filament. And then using my tool, push it into the hole as best I can. Now I don't have to trap the nut completely, just to make sure it doesn't let the nut out of that hole area. As I said, you can't get it back into the hole once it's come out, but if you can keep it in the hole, you can always tilt the whole body to get the part right. Okay, that's got those nuts trapped in there. So the next thing we need to do is put this together. So I'm going to use this 20mm countersunk screw M4 and an M4 square nut. Drop the M4 square nut in the hole and feed our screw through. Nice and easy. Now we'll repeat the same here. Get our square nut, drop it into the hole, and use our 25mm M4 countersunk screw. Do that up as tight as I can. See if I can get the next one in. Okay, so they're in place. Might just lock that nut in so that it doesn't come loose, both on the outside and on the inside. So I'll start on the outside. Now I'm not going to do this last one because I just can't reach in there with my 3D pen, so I'll leave that for now. Okay, so with that one out of the way, let's have a look at these parts. So these are currently printed in ASA. I may yet change that. There's one of these go on each side. They slide in like so, and then screws from the back to hold it in place. So let's assemble this together. So the square nuts go in through the side. These screws, by the way, are 10mm long, M4 countersunk with the M4 square nuts. Now the thing I don't like about the ASA is when printing it tends to warp, very much like ABS does, probably as bad if not worse. You can see a little bit of warping on the end here. And I'm not really impressed with that. I may yet reprint this in PETG, but we drop a square nut into here. Square nut into here. Put that into place. And now we can feed the nuts down, the screws down. Those screws, 25mm long, they're just not a countersunk at all. So just keep that in mind. And 2 holes right down the bottom. And we just one. This helps if your screwdriver is magnetized. This one's starting to get a bit old and the magnetism's dying in it. And that's got that piece on nice and solid. Let's build the second one. Let's get our 2 nuts. You could use countersunk screws in here. Looks like it might be a little bit countersunk in there. Okay, so that's that ankle assembly done. These screws obviously will come out when we attach it to the base, which I have yet to prepare. Alright, so this part's actually quite easy. It has a flared edge and another flared edge. The 2 flares go out. This piece just slots in like so, and you can see that is keyed so it doesn't come out. We do the same on the other side. We can then put that over the top to line up our hole all the way through, and then we put in our pin. That pin is 3D printed, and that's our ankle support. Now you can prevent it from tipping too far. I've just got a long bolt. This isn't a requirement. It's 60mm long countersunk and straight through, and it stops it from tipping too far. Alright, so now that we have this all completed, let's work on the shell of the center wheel. Now, the part comes as a single piece, STL, but it won't fit on my print bed. It's just far too big. I think this is like 300 mil, 265 mil, and my bed's 250, so it's just that little bit too big for the print bed. We also have these side shells which go on. This one I had issues with it getting off the print bed, and it did damage the inside, but it's not visible and we can still use it. I can putty up the inside and make it look alright, but the truth is it'll never be seen because it goes on the inside like so. These have square nuts to hold them in place, and here we go. These screws are 12 mil, I think. Yes, they are. They're countersunk 12 mil M4s and their associated nuts. But before I put them in, I can put the nuts in. These were a pain to get all of the support material out of. I probably shouldn't have used support material, but I did. And okay, that's those two. The screws will go through these holes and into these nuts. But before we do that, let's weld these parts together. I did cut this in the slicer, so it's not a particularly nice cut. My 3D pen has gone to sleep. Now, with the PETG, I am running this at around about 235 degrees C. We push into the seam till the nozzle beds in. I should turn this down speed-wise. Make sure I turn the speed down to suit welding. So I've got it down to about a quarter of its full speed. And just follow the seam down. Pushing in, melting the two together, do a short tack, and then use my flattening tool to, whoops, repeat down near the bottom. Try and get it lined up as best you can. Now I'm going to do some welding on the inside, which is going to be hard to show on the camera. Okay, so this was somewhat challenging to weld together. I've got a couple of beads on the inside, and I've actually done the full seam weld down through here on the inside. I'll probably do a full seam weld again down in here, but I am going to have to weld a little bit in here and here on the outside just to get rid of some of the evidence of that crack. But what I can do now is actually put these on. So for that I will need an Allen key. Okay, so this is our assembly. A few marks on the side. You need to do a little bit more welding, clean it up with sandpaper. This will need to be then coated with spray on putty, sanded back, and then I can paint it the final colour just to get rid of all of the printing marks that are left on it. There's a few marks here. I'm not sure if that's coming from the cheaper filament that I'm using. This is all PETG. But we can now take our ankle assembly, and this is where we've got to be a little bit more careful. Put in our 4 nuts here. Now turn it over, drop that over like so. Make sure your nuts are all the way in. And then we can install the Omni wheel assembly. Now it doesn't really matter which way this gets installed. It's the same way either way. We drop that. There is an indent which lines up with this. Once you've got that in, use your screws. These are 25mm countersunk M4s. Now I really do suggest you use the zinc plated screws. While they are not rust resistant, they do let your magnetic tip screwdriver hold them. The stainless steel screws will last longer, but they are also harder to get into place because they're not attracted to your magnetic screwdrivers. That's our center wheel and ankle assembly completed. Now, there is this spacer piece, and it sits on top before the bottom plate of the robot. In this case, R2D2 droid. But we'll do that when we do the bottom plate. The next video, I'll look at the probably left side wheel assembly with the motor in it. To see when that video comes out, don't forget to click on like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. It's a form of support that helps the channel a great deal and costs you absolutely nothing. If you'd like to support the channel further, I do have a Patreon account and you can join, and YouTube membership, and you can join my patrons, VIPs, GoLucky and Coburnicus, my All Access Patron, Jerde, my Builder Patrons, Al Morales 45, Andrew Cardone, Airgar69, Stefan Papst, James Kelly, Guy Daumerie, and my YouTube member Magdy Salib in helping to support the channel. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or drop into my Discord. There will be a link below, and ask your question in there. I have created a channel on my Discord for R2D2, so ask your questions in there and I'll try my best to answer them. And we'll see you in the next video.